So guys, in this video, I am going to tell you about some homeschooling things. And then at the end, I actually have a bunch of things that we've been working on that I thought that you might like to see hands-on. So make sure you stay tuned to the end so you can see all those hands-on activities, or fast forward to the end and see the hands-on activities that the kids are working on. Because I know myself, sometimes I like to visually see what other people are doing so I can get an idea, because I'm more of a visual person. Hello guys, I actually really enjoy talking about homeschooling. Have you figured that out yet? I am so passionate about learning. I really am. I love teaching my children, all 15 of them, things in life. And I love finding new ways, and I love reading about the way children learn. I love it all. Anyway, today we're going to talk a little bit about planning your homeschool, but backwards. So lots of people set out their curriculum. This is what things are going to look like, and they go step by step through the curriculum. I don't do that. But I think sometimes when I talk about unschooling or child-led homeschooling, it's just kind of, people assume that it's just kind of like sitting back and waiting for the child to do something. And in a lot of ways it is. In other ways it isn't. We have to give the kids an opportunity to expand their mind. So how do those opportunities come? They come through reading good literature. So I take that from Charlotte Mason. If you've had any opportunity to listen to or read any of her works, it is wonderful. So giving them an opportunity to listen to an oral story of really good books, that starts out and engages so much. Another thing that Charlotte Mason talks about is showing art or music. They used to have, I don't know if they still have, Charlotte Mason used to have these packs of like famous artists, their kind of famous paintings. And so I would kind of just hang those up, and if discussions got going, then we would kind of do something regarding that. You can also go on to, say, thrift books and buy famous artists like books, and then just, I know this is going to make some people cringe, cut out the pictures to like engage your child's mind of just thoughtful consideration of art. You can also take them to an art museum and get the same style of what's going on. So basically, the way that I like to do things best is to immerse my child into something and then kind of do whatever comes from that. So for instance, let's just talk about this year so far. I had them, two different types of instances. I had them make a pyramid out of sugar cubes. So we took that, and the kids were asking questions like, how do I do a pyramid? Was there rooms inside of the pyramid? Do I make rooms inside of my pyramid? That just started discussion. I also bought them these little things, and I'm gonna try to include like little pieces of like what we've been doing, because I have been taking clips. They're little like clay blocks. You can get them off Amazon, and you are pretending you're an archaeologist and kind of like hitting them and finding out what's buried in this, right? So you're kind of like uncovering what that is. They also kind of made this paper mummy. And so they're doing all these things. While they're doing these things, or throughout other times, say we're going for pool lessons, I might put on like real cool history for kids, something, we were reading a book like about Cleopatra. I would put something like that on for my children to just kind of listen to, get it in them. And then questions come. Questions just bloom from doing these types of things. So that is the main way that I get my kids engaged in learning new things. Now, there's other things that they're just so passionate about, or they see that they want to know about, that they're going to want to learn that information. But in order to bring out passion or interest to your children, you can do stuff like that. So I started with something hands-on. I also started with some audio things like audiobooks, and we just saw where it went from there. Honestly, my kids were interested. We also, when they went to the library, I had my daughter get some books from the library. I did not read those books. I just made those books available if the kids wanted the information, or if they wanted to, they'll bring them to me if they want me to read them to them if they're not a reader yet. So I just get those things from the library. It's a resource that they can use. I also had some things on YouTube that were like documentaries about ancient Egypt. They chose or not to watch those things. I think most of the kids chose to watch at least one of those documentaries about things, but they were about different things. Like one was like construction of pyramids, one was about like Egyptian life. And so it's really interesting because if they didn't choose the same things, sometimes they just sit there, like I hear them talking about like the different things that they saw on TV because, or on the movie, because that's what they're learning. And anything that excites them, they want to talk about. So that is just to say one thing that we did in the month of January. Another thing that we did in the month of January is we took the kids to ice castles, which was so cool. So if you have not seen that, that is over on our other channel, which is Large Family Adventures. That is where we take homeschooling to the next level. So we just go on adventures with our children to go hang out and see really cool things. And last month it happened to be ice castles. So once a month I plan kind of like a bigger place to go or see usually. Or to do, and that could be just something that they're gonna learn something from. We do lots of outside nature resource type play like in between, but I just talked a lot for a different video. I am feeling so much better, but I'm like blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I had a moment today to do some talking videos. So I am doing those talking videos today because I don't always have the moments to do that. And so the kids went to the library and I was like, let's talk about a couple different subjects today. So they can, so ice castles. So we went to ice castles and they had a lot of questions. They wanted to know how they're made. We've already watched, I cannot even tell you how many things on how the ice castles are made. They also started to see carving, ice carving, and then ice carving led to wood carving. So they were looking at the carving videos as far as like ice carving and wood carving and like where you might use an ice sculpture. So they did that type of stuff. We're actually making a bunch of ice cubes. So I thought that they could try to do something with the ice cubes, just give them kind of free range with what they wanted to do with that. My daughter is going over to get to the library with the kids, and she's going to get some books on Arctic animals, igloos, ice sculptures, like anything that she can find like in the whole realm of Burr, it's cold outside. She's going to get that. We're also going to talk about, I have a couple videos that I've seen that haven't seen the whole video, but like about Antarctica and different animals that you might see like in Antarctica. So yeah, really kind of cool. So that's just going to be its own little thing. I don't feel like they have to learn every single little thing. It's just like engaging them in something else. I've printed off a couple worksheets of like solid liquid gas type things for anyone who wants to do them. And if they don't want to do them, then that's okay. I actually have had requests this week. I kind of just laid off a little bit of things. And I had requests this week for a child wanted some writing worksheets of multiplication. Another child, because they saw the other sister getting multiplication, was like, can I get some subtraction worksheets? So we found some of those. Another child was wanting to learn cursive, so got some of those. And then I'm trying to think what else. Oh, so we printed those off. And then I set up, I was trying to figure out how to do this last month and I didn't get it. I signed up in December for education.com. It's $7.99 a month. I'm not being sponsored by them. It's $7.99 a month. And you can choose what you want to do. Basically, like you can print off coloring pages for your kids. You can print off coloring pages, you can print off workbook pages. There's interactive pages where if your child wants to interact like in doing the work like on the site, they can do that. You also can do games, and you can assign your kids games. There is a ton of games on there. So what I basically am using it for is one, if I need a printable, then I don't have to search all over the place for a printable, even if it's coloring pages for church. I can just go there and print the coloring pages off. I can search a subject and see what they have for that, print stuff off. So that's really a blessing. But also, sorry, people were asking questions. My daughter didn't leave yet for the library, so she was asking questions, making sure what I was asking. She was asking what I was keeping for books that we got and what we were getting new. So basically, I am keeping a book of Billy Goat Gruff. I want to make a Yodo, I want to make some Yodo cards that have like an Aesop's Fables of like those types of stories. I want to like read them out loud and put it on a Yodo card. And then I want to, there's a card book. One of the kids picked out a card book. So I was like, let's just keep that one and then see if we can find a new card game and then I'll learn it together. So yes, so that is kind of how I work things. I kind of go backwards. So now in February, I have like a plan for something bigger. My bigger plan is kind of weird. A bigger plan is, we're going to go skiing. Somebody wants to, actually I don't know if it's going to be the end of February, if it's going to be March. We have to decide when it's going to be best. We're going to end up going skiing. And there's so much like that can go around that. And I think outside play in all seasons is a good thing anyway. We also are probably going to be going to our local children's museum, changed some things out. So that's really cool. We're also going to be doing sweet potato slips and start tomatoes this month. So that would be like gardening type things. So that might get into discussions. I'm not quite sure. It's gotten a lot nicer some days. Like there's some days that it's kind of like, oh, it's 40, let's go out and do something. So that's nice. Anyway, so I kind of plan things backwards like that, of like, where do I think might be cool for them to go? And then decide from there how deep I want to dig in it or how deep they want to dig in it. Honestly, like I kind of just provide resources so that they can dig deeper into things. I also read out loud. So in order to figure out what I want to read out loud, it kind of can be things that one, they're really interested in. I have somebody right now that's really interested in the Underground Railroad and slavery. So read alouds could go for that. So we actually read, what have we read recently? So we read Squanto. No, not Squanto. I'm sorry. Sacagawea. One of the girls wanted to read Sacagawea. So we read that out loud. And then we read, we're working on something in the Mayflower. It's like a diary of a girl of the Mayflower. And that kind of went with, I think we had gotten the book. We didn't get the book at Plymouth Plantation, but it was a book that they were interested in at Plymouth Plantation. So we decided to like get that through thrift books. So reading through that one. So what I have scooped myself over to is back into our normal routine, which we used to do back home. And we would read about 3 chapters a night in a book. So that's what we were working on. So starting with a book can also work well. If a child's interested in something, then saying, oh, I really see them interested in this, let's try to read a book. Or if there's a time in history that I want them to know more about or that I'm really interested in, then I'll read it out loud. I'll just be like, hey guys, let's listen to this. They're listening to a book. I Lived on Butterfly Hill, maybe. There were some things in it that I would kind of be like, I don't know, but it actually gives the aunt or something was saying that she read tarot cards in whatever, and so if I needed to, I could kind of discuss that. If not, I just kind of like let it go over people's heads. But it's basically about a little girl whose parents have to go away because her parents had to go away, and then she ends up having to move because of the stuff going on in her country. So we are listening to that on an audiobook. Now the kids also, one huge thing, guys, is just you learn, you keep learning, you like engage your brain and your mind, like you engage it all, because they're gonna watch you and they're gonna be like, oh, well, I should do that. If you like don't make a big deal or make it like hard that it's to cook and you're just cooking because you want to provide for your family, then your kids are going to be the same way. They're going to be like, oh, I want to learn how to cook. Can I do this? Say yes. Be like, yeah, okay, let's find a recipe. So I might start by like reading a book. I might read like a historical fiction. I might read like a diary. One of my daughters really wants to be a missionary when she grows up. So just been finding her like a bunch of missionary stories. Yeah, so just finding good twaddle-free books. That's a Charlotte Mason thing. Finding good twaddle-free books to engage your children's mind in. That's a great way to start a discussion, to start talking about things. And it doesn't need to be an in-depth study. Your child learns and retains a lot more information if it's given to them like that. If they're just told like to repeat rote facts, then they'll learn it for a time period enough to pass a test. But like, to me, learning is what they can read and retain information from over a long period of time. So there's certain things, I'm sure you guys too, in your life, that situations that happened or things you read or experiences that you had that you remember. Like, you can probably remember some things about a family vacation. You can probably, but a lot of the small things you're not going to remember. It's just kind of like, I don't know. So yeah, it's just doing those things, trying to like get the kids out and engaged in really cool stuff and doing it yourself. For me, it's like, okay, providing materials, like sometimes we'll just, and understanding that in a homeschool world, to me, there's definitely a lot more than 5 subjects. My focus does not need to be on 5 subjects. I think like hands-on art is a great way for your brain and mind. If you like research things, art is huge for brain development. Being outside and playing, free play in nature is a huge thing for development, mentally, physically, all over the place. So I try to incorporate all those things into our lives and in big parts of our lives. Reading is a huge part. You know, we're coming into a generation that can barely read because there's so much tablets, there's so many, you know, all these things are done on a computer. There's actually been studies as far as like a child learning information on a laptop, tablet, phone versus learning information from a book. And it's really an interesting topic. So if you get the chance, maybe you want to look into that more. Really interesting. I'm always I'm more of an auditory listener, and so I always have an audiobook that I'm currently working on listening. I also listen to like podcasts and interviews, and I do that in the scope of like my family too. So if my kids are on the floor doing whatever, I might be like, just put an audiobook on, I might put a podcast on, something like that they can listen to that too. Yeah, so I think that it's backwards because I'm actually doing the fun thing before I'm planning it out, instead of planning it out and then potentially we'll have time for a fun thing. So do you guys want to know what we're doing this year? Okay, let's talk about things that I semi have planned in my brain. So I think probably going to go skiing. We're going to be doing some gardening work up north at our old homestead. We are going to be going to a homeschool conference for the first time. We're going to be going to Mammoth Caves. We're going to be going to the Ark. Hopefully we're going to be going to Gettysburg and I think the Civil War Museum in Harrisburg. I think that's where we kind of decided for big things to do. There's also other smaller adventures that we're planning on the way. Most of those are outside adventures. So we're also going to be trying to I'm going to try and do some videos about all the beaches around here. I wanted to kind of see what's handicap accessible, how accessible things are, the cost to go there. I'm trying to do that for our other channel, so we're going to have fun doing that. We are going to, before my membership runs up, I got a membership last year to go to the Plymouth Plantation, the Patuxent Museum, and so the Mayflower, Plymouth Plantation, and the grist mill. We will probably make a trip to do that all again before the membership runs up, so we really make really make it great. I would like potentially next fall to go to Old Sturbridge Village. That might be nice. I think that might be like the next membership that I want to get, and then we'll probably go there at least twice. So that, let me think. And then we're planning to try to see a lot of the historical homes around here. They have discounted rates. I also want to do botanical gardens, but I want to do it in like June. We did it last year, but it was later in summer and we didn't get to see the full like first blooms of things. So I think just spending a day at like the botanical gardens would be really cool. I would like to do Maine Maritime Museum. That has always been on my wish list. So I think that we might try to do that over the summer as well. Yeah, I think that's a pretty hefty list. And, you know, the small things are just kind of day trips of like, let's go here for the day, or let's go. Most of that's like day stuff, except for the big trip that we're making. And we're planning all those things like in a row for like 2-ish weeks that we're going to be gone. So that will be super fun. So those are my plans. Now I'll plan things around that. We've already read a story this month about Mammoth Caves and about a slave in Mammoth Caves, which is really cool. Now I'm trying to mentally think. So I basically am looking for things to read or to engage my children in, whether that's hands-on or going someplace first. Another thing is that I like to include in our homestead is more like from homeschooling is more like from a Waldorf perspective. Now, I do not like the spiritual side of Waldorf, but it is handicrafts and using natural materials to create handicrafts. So it's a very common for us to include that into our current thing. I will share some clips of what we're working on. Yeah, I'm trying to think what we were working on. Yes, so I'll include some clips on that. Sometimes it's just like, hey, let's have fun. Like, let's try this, you know, if everyone's kind of maybe rambunctious, let's do some science experiments today. And, you know, like a couple of weeks ago, we made like rubber balls or like bouncy balls and stuff like that. So I think that you kind of have to go with the flow on what your children, like how they are and how they're behaving and what, you know, where they're kind of guiding, leading you. If they are having a moment where they have like lots of energy, okay, well, let's like go out and do something. If we went out and did something, let's sit back and read a book. If we're having like a rainy day that is just like, I don't know how long we want to be outside, then maybe it's a day to like build tents and read a book. So you do you. Remember, if one thing that I had to teach myself is like, you have a list of subjects through your educational department usually that you need to do, right? It does not mean that you need to make sure you check a box for each of those things in one day. So some days for us, if we are doing something science, that might be like a whole day thing. It might be like a huge thing that we're working on. So we might have like lots of time like doing that. So the next day, if I don't do science, I'm not worried about it. I want my kids to like learn. I just want to be like, okay, let's read. Like when we read, I read and then I pass it along to people who are reading. That's how people learn how to read. So don't be caught up on, I have to do these subjects every single day, because sometimes if we do that, then we're actually cutting short the real opportunity. Because what happens sometimes is our kids get engaged in what they're doing, even if it's a story and we're reading a story and people are like really excited like about the story. and they want to read more, and we're like, oh no, time's up, we can't do that. And I understand things happen, right? Sometimes time has to be up. But if we could just read on, maybe we're reading for, you know, a few hours instead of switching to another subject. Maybe that historical fiction or whatever it is, maybe we're learning about whatever, that's okay. Like, just go with it, go with the flow. You can't be so strict that you're like worried about that you have to do A, B, C, and D, that you're not able to like learn. I feel like education is actually educating your child, meaning they're learning and retaining that information, and they're going to learn it and get that information if we're able to let them rest in that too. So there's also a huge concept and component of play to let your brain actually decompress and remember what you are learning. So yeah, there's a lot there's a lot of books out there that I would recommend. So some of my favorite books would be, let's see, just recently that I've read or reread would be, I was gonna say Balanced and Barefoot. I almost said Barefoot and Pregnant. Balanced and Barefoot by Angela Hanscom is a lovely one. I just finished reading or listening to Wild and Free. It was on sale last month from Audible for like $5. Wild and Free. I actually am going to listen to that one again because it was really good. So let's see. Wild and Free was really good. I am working on Free to Learn. That's a good one. I listened to Ginny Urich, the person who does 1,000 Hours Outside. She actually has 2 books that I read this past year. One is Until the Streetlights Come On, and the other one is Homeschooling. I found both of those really great books. Trying to think. Yeah, so anyway, like, be a mom that is engaging your mind and your body and your heart and what you want to do. I am currently relearning how to ride a bike. We plan on doing lots of biking experiences, so I'm super excited about that. I need to get my body like up to the place that I can perform well enough to be able to keep up with everybody. But so that is something that I'm really excited about, and it's something like that the kids can see me, hey, mom hasn't done this in a while, like, but she's like trying something new, and we can try something new too. When you do those things, then the kids understand that they can try things new. And I'm gonna start sourdough pretty soon. Haven't done that in a while. So they see me just learning new things. I get really excited about learning new things. I am a geek for learning about the way like the body functions, health stuff, therapy things. Like, I try new things with therapy, like with Azariah. Yeah, I just really, they see me doing that, right? So because they see me doing these things, like if they ask me like, oh, what are you doing on your phone? A lot of times I'll show them what I'm doing on my phone, because it's like researching and they can understand what I'm actually doing, that I'm not just sitting on Facebook being like, oh, what's everyone doing? I honestly rarely do that. Sometimes I go to the trisomy 18 like site on Facebook, but I try to just spend a little bit of time on there and encourage other moms, because it's a lot of pregnant moms that are just like asking questions and being told like bad things. And it's really important, I think, for other mamas just to come alongside them and be like, it's okay, we were told that too, and we have these beautiful babies. So I try to encourage others on that board. So, or I'm doing business stuff, or I'm researching stuff. So yeah, it's important for the kids to see like you are like in control of your time. You're in control of what you're doing online, and you're not just wasting your hours away. Because if you're wasting your hours away, then your child's going to waste their hours away as well. They're not going to focus on what needs to happen. So I hope that's encouragement today to you guys, and I hope you have a blessed and wonderful day.
And I made this open so you could go in there and see what
that's cool.
Because there's the path down. Like, you can't see it from here because it's whatever, but it just goes around into the car.
Pretty cool. Which one's yours? They stuck together really well. What did you use?
Frosting.
Frosting.
And for this one, I started this one first and used glue, but it didn't really work. And then I used frosting for the top.
Nice. Whose is this one?
I made stuck a two-piece together for where he would lay in his grave. And
Yeah, so it's June.
all stuck together.
So who did this one?
Lucy.
And that one.
Regis.
So 8-year-old did this. Pretty good. It's apparently glued to the bottom here. And then the kids were just having fun with these little things. And then today they went to the library and they made little polar bears.
So am I making it
What? You're making a star, so you're going one line in the middle. See how there's a star? Alright, so we're working on this. So you're gonna go up here. Yeah, see up there. Now what?
Go through this hole.
Now go through the hole. Yep, nice work. So we're just gonna show you the blanket stitch that we're doing. Let go for 1 minute and I'm just gonna show it close. Okay, so see the blanket stitch that she's doing? So we're gonna go in here. I have 2 pieces, see? Going in, pull it through, and you'll see this loop on the back. So now you're just gonna catch the loop with your needle and make it pull over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then let's do one more of those. We're gonna go in, through, and then we have a little bit of that hole. We're coming through the hole.
And pulling it.
Yes. How old are you?
5.
She's 5. So we're learning how to do that. Who told you had to play this game?
No one.
Do you think that you learned something from this?
How to count up. But I already know how to count up. I can count all the way to 100.
Mm-hmm. What else do you learn?
100.
You know how to count. Good idea. What are you doing?
Trying to find what's in here.
Are you an archaeologist?
It's kind of like an art teacher.
What does an archaeologist do?
Trying to find stuff.
Yeah. So they can find out bits of history in the ground sometimes. Would it be fun to go to like an archaeological dig?
Yeah.
Like where they're actually doing that? That'd be
I
cool.
just do it. That looks
You could become that if you wanted.
but I don't really want to. I have something else that I really want to do.
Okay, so what do you really, really want to do?
Look at my leg. Become a horse trainer.
Become a horse trainer?
I don't know. It's
What animal are you going to take care of? Are you going to take care of all of them when you're a zookeeper? Mm-hmm.
My favorite one to be able to take care of would be a bird.
What do you think she has in there?
I don't know.
Rejoice, that's me. Oh my god.
And it's almost out.
It's almost out.
She has a little piece too right there.
I think it's that head.
Nice.
In this one
What did she find?
A person, I think.
Face.
Yes.
Egyptian.
I see something right here. Look, Mom.
Cool. Okay, show me. Oh, cool.
I think that's illegal.
It is?
That's why I cat.
Ooh, you were right. It was a cat. What do you have? Ooh. Nefertiti, maybe.
Is this a mummy?
I think so. What do you think you have?
I don't know. I think I
It'll
know
be a
what
surprise,
Rejoice's
huh?
is.